If your 1 to 6 year old is struggling with struggling sharing with you, with their sibling, with their peers, with another child, then this episode is for you. I'm breaking down exactly what to do based on their age and developmental stage to promote sharing, to get them past the mine mindset, and to really promote cooperative play and interactions. Hi, my name is Laura. I'm a licensed speech therapist and certified teacher with a private practice here in New York City for 1 to 6 year olds and an online program called Tantrums to Talking. Okay, so we're going to start with the younger group of kids, the 1 and 2 year olds, like more like 16 months through 2 years old. And then we'll break it down by the 3 year olds to the 6 year olds. Okay, so for 1 and 2 year olds, again, this is really important to understand, and I find so many parents miss this. It's that there is a developmental stage in toddlerhood where I like to call it the mind stage, where we want actually your toddler to be saying mine to everything. That's mine, me. And there's really specific reasons for this that I'm going to explain, and then I'm going to explain what to do and what to do with the older kids, 3 years old to 6 years old. Okay, so with these really young kids, we really need to think about it from a brain perspective, like I always say. So they are developing their sense of self for the very first time. And the reason why this is important is because they need to learn that they are a separate entity from their environment, and this will set up the foundation for them to learn perspective taking skills. We can't know or understand the perspective of someone else until we've developed the perspective of ourselves. So they're really going through this. They are developing their own perspective taking. And of themselves, which will then lend itself in later development stage for them to have the perspective of somebody else. This is so important. So if your toddler is saying mine to their things, it's a good thing. It should be happening naturally, and actually I'd be concerned. It would actually be kind of a red flag for me if your toddler wasn't doing this, wasn't saying me or mine. It's a really important first step. It's also an important first step to eventually saying I. It goes from me to I. I want this instead of me, mine. It goes, I want snack. I want water. And then that then evolves to you. They start to use the word you and understand the concept of you. And then that evolves to he, she, they. Do you see how it's like a little sequence here? But the very first step of that sequence is me and mine. So if your toddler is saying me and mine all the time, that's actually a green flag. We want that to be happening. That being said, it can get really tricky when, let's say, they're at a play date and they see another 1 year old or 2 year old with a toy and they go over to grab their toy and say, mine. That's tough. The thing we really need to understand is, we project a lot of things onto these little toddler developing brains as adults. Like, we're like, oh, share with your friends. But sharing really doesn't come in at this stage, okay? It's not quite there developmentally. So I wouldn't expect them to be able to share. What we can do is we can slow down the moment we can be like, okay, give them another choice, giving them a toy that is theirs. If they're grabbing things like the remote or your hairbrush, things that are not theirs, we do want to have boundaries and we do want to show them, these are the things you can grab and say me, mine, and these are the things that are not for you. It's okay to have boundaries like that. So the way I would handle it to avoid like a big, huge, 10-minute meltdown is to, if they grab the remote or grab another toy, you want to slow things down because they're moving really quickly. And you want to say, oh, okay, let's hold on to this and give them something that they can hold on to. We can hold this. We can play with this toy, because they need something. Again, they're developing that sense of self. They need something they can grab, hold close to their chest, and say, me, mine. And again, that's what we want from a growth, brain development perspective. They're growing their brain when they do this. Okay. So that's kind of how I make that switch. And again, it's not really teaching sharing quite yet. Their brain isn't quite there yet, but it is teaching some boundaries. Mom and dad and whoever had those are their things. These are my things. These are the things I can control and I can hold and say me and mine. And this is exactly what I teach in my Tantrums to Talking program. So parents will send me videos or we'll even do this live with their little one, where I'm in their earpiece and the video, the phone is up somewhere and they're maybe having this me mine moment with something that isn't theirs, like remote. And I'll actually coach them how to slow down that moment, slow the pacing, show them the boundaries, show them what they can hold for me and mine, and then kind of like put that into get that engine going, get that system going so that they can express me and mine like we want them to without, them breaking down all the boundaries and saying me and mine for everything. And my application for the Tantrums of Talking program is linked below. I only take a handful of clients. And so if you'd like to apply, if you're a parent or caregiver of a 1 to 6-year-old and you'd like to apply to that program, go ahead and click the link below and we can set up a one-to-one call to see if you're a good fit for the program. Okay, so moving on to the 3 to 6-year-olds. Now, by 3 years old, we would expect children to be more independently playing with other children. Usually in like ones and twos era, the adult is like sitting right there with, the ones and twos, really facilitating the play. Now, by 3, we would expect them to start to more independently play with their peers. It's more interactive. They don't need the adult sitting right there to get that peer to peer play consistently going. So, we do need to have this skill of sharing around age 3. But here's a key thing that, again, I see a lot of parents missing because they are seeing things online, they're hearing things, they're hearing a lot of opinions that are not based in science or brain and body child development. And I'm hearing parents say and do things like forced sharing. Now, I want to make it really clear that forced sharing does not teach sharing. It doesn't really teach them anything because it's not building the child's internal motivation to share with their peer, to share with you, to share with their sibling. So, any type of forced sharing that ends in tears, it's really not productive. And I really try to steer parents away from that to a much more productive approach. So, if your child is having a hard time with sharing, we really want to break it down and take a step back. If they're 3 years old and they're really having a hard time with sharing, okay, let's take a step back and let's make it really easy. Let's break this down into baby steps. They might need to start with just passing a ball back and forth between you and them. And that's a very early cooperative sharing, turn taking, back and forth game, and we want it to be fun. This is so important. If they're not having fun, if this isn't motivating to them, it's not going to give them the internal motivation to want to do turn taking and share and do cooperative play with other kids because why would they? It's not fun for them. So we really want to keep it fun and light. You're passing the ball back and forth. So we're focused on really easy, early cooperative games. Okay, this is low pressure, this is fun, this is easy, this is joyful. They're giggling, they're laughing. There's turn taking. They're letting you have a turn, then they take a turn. So important. We're actually building so many skills from that really simple game. So this should be easy for a 3-year-old, right? Definitely to be able to turn take with a ball back and forth. So we want to expand it way out and make it more and more complex, right? 3-year-olds, they actually can do a lot. Like they can make like complex play. So we want to expand it out into more complex cooperation games and play. And again, this is exactly what I teach in my Tantrums to Talking program. We start really simple and really easy, and then we make it a little bit more wait time, a little harder, a more complicated cooperation game until they've really mastered this back and forth skill, right? This patience, I'm waiting, you're taking a turn, then I get a turn, then I pass the ball back to you. Um, we use this concept that they've mastered in the ball passing back and forth with much more complicated situations and play situations. Now, it's really important to also note that the child needs to master sharing with the adult before we can expect them to share with their peers. So, with their peers, it is like there's much less patience, there's much less, you know, the bandwidth for wait time is much less. They are much faster. They're not going to be understanding like we are as the adult. So we want to practice at home with the adult. And once that's mastered, then we can expect them to do this type of sharing, cooperation, turn taking, waiting with a peer or with a sibling or with another child. But until it's mastered with an adult, no, I wouldn't necessarily expect that skill to be consistent with another peer, unless they're having like super a lot of fun. That can certainly happen, but the key is consistency. We want to have them consistently share, consistently turn take, consistently wait their turn. And the other thing I would also really practice with 3 to 6 year olds is waiting in natural environments, like waiting in line, like instead of them waiting with a screen in front of them, just like genuinely waiting their turn, understanding that other people go and then I get my turn, right? And then it's my turn and then I'm happy. And then other people are waiting for me. When you can point these things out in a really meaningful way. And same with like waiting for a swing, that kind of thing. We want to have these like natural situations. We can even set it up, this way for them to naturally wait and naturally see like, oh, they get a turn and then I get a turn. So we can practice and then expand this. And then I would say like one of the highest levels of um like cooperation and sharing is in like that pretend play, um with a peer where they're pretending they're playing a game or they're pretending, and that requires a lot of sharing with objects, a lot of sharing with turns. The issue I see is a lot of parents want to jump to that. They're like, oh, they have a play date, they should be able to share. That they're at the park, they should be able to share and turn take. But that's like the highest level. A lot of times with kids who really are struggling with sharing, we need to help them build up the baby steps to get to that really high level. So we need to break it down. And that's exactly what I do in my Tantrums to Talking program. It's customized to your individual child. I've worked with hundreds of families in person and in my online program. And this is just, I find, the fastest, most effective way to show your child, to get them through those baby steps, and then to get them to that highest level that we're looking for, to get them to share with peers, with siblings, with other kids their age, in the classroom, in the park. And it is so magical and amazing when it happens. And it's exciting for the child too. You can see they're excited, they love it too. So the application for that is linked below in the description below. And I will see you in the next episode.